o'clock on Local 3. Relief could be coming for millions of student loan borrowers. We're breaking down who would qualify for President Biden's reported plan to cancel debt.
The clock is ticking for a new contract between the DPS teachers union and the district. How far apart are the two sides on day one of negotiations?
We don't want to go back to a strike.
And ski season is right around the corner. We have the early breakdown of open dates for some of our state's most popular resorts. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves, though, because it is still August, still summer. Lisa, very nice start to our day.
It's why I love the state, though. I feel like just as soon as you get sick of one
Yes.
season, the next one slides right in.
I'm
right?
ready for fall, yeah.
Beautiful right now in the mountains. You can see there at Longs Peak, Rocky Mountain National Park, blue skies out west. And we did see a little dusting of snow on top of some of those peaks here this past couple of days, but it's going to be a lot drier here for the next couple of days. T-shirt and shorts weather for your kids if they have not left yet for school. It's going to be a beautiful day, mid-80s by the time they get home. It's the first week of school there at DPS, and you've got some pretty warm summer-like conditions for it. Today, Denver 88, Fort Collins same, and in Greeley will be at about 90. More 70s for the mountains today. Now, in the high country, you saw those blue skies there at Longs Peak. We're going to see a few building clouds this afternoon and a few isolated storms, but the overall picture is going to be a lot drier, less monsoon moisture, and some pretty nice conditions through tomorrow. I'll show you when that rain is going to return here to town coming up.
Lots of stop and go traffic on the south side right now. I-25 is very full right here between, let's say, downtown Denver, 6th Avenue, Alameda, over here to University and Colorado Boulevard. From the cameras right down in here, you can see all the 4 cameras, and look how full the traffic is and around town. So it's just going to be busy for us on that south side. Nothing in there in lanes. I am still seeing some slower traffic not only here on C470, but also obviously I-25 in and out of the Denver Tech Center. That northbound side has been really slow for us all morning long. A lot of traffic here on 225, both directions, especially around Parker Road. In and out of the airport, that's been fine, but we've had problems with the A line to and from the airport. So check with RTD's website for the latest of what's going on with the A line. A lot of traffic still to the north side, but no problems again up there to that north or west side.
Well, this morning, millions of people are all ears for what the Biden administration will say about student loan debt. Repayments have been on pause for about 2.5 years now.
Any change will have a big impact here in Colorado because there are about 800,000 people here who still owe student loans. The Biden administration is considering canceling up to $10,000 in debt per borrower. Of course, this would only apply to people who make less than $125,000 a year. Denver 7's Christian Lopez is at the Auraria campus to explain why now.
Timing is everything, and we can't discount that it's an election year and Democrats are trying to keep majorities in Congress, but there is also another big deadline coming up. The latest repayment deferment period will end next Wednesday. Borrowers haven't had to make payments since March of 2020 when the pandemic first started, but the fight over student debt has raged long before COVID came on the scene and the inflation that followed. But that's no doubt weighing in on this decision because critics worry that canceling billions of dollars in debt, which is money that technically we'd all have to pay because it's not going into the system, would only make inflation worse, and it also doesn't do anything to help future students or people who have already paid off their loans. Meanwhile, progressives have pushed for President Biden to cancel up to $50,000 in debt with no income restrictions, but he has repeatedly rejected that plan. We should be getting an update at some point tomorrow, according to CNN. Reporting in Denver this morning, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
Well, Douglas County wants to raise property taxes to pay teachers more. At tonight's school board meeting, directors will vote on a resolution to send a $60 million mill levy override and a $450 million bond to voters. The $60 million mill levy override would be used to raise teachers' salaries by about 9%. It would cost homeowners about $50 a year for every $100,000 of assessed home value. Some of you may remember this scene from early 2019. Denver teachers on the picket lines. Well, the contract they agreed to back then expires next week. So now the district and teachers union will be meeting for 3 days this week, starting today.
What happens if you're not at an agreement by the end of this 3 days?
So hopefully we'll get there by the 31st. If not, we've talked about whether or not we need to extend those negotiations. We don't want to go back to a strike at this point in time, but at the same time, we need to get to the point where we actually can make some real change with our class size and with our caseload size, especially.
And of course, money is an issue. Gould told me DPS is currently offering a 3.5% raise. They want something closer to the 9% rate of inflation. They also want, as he said, smaller class sizes and smaller caseloads for special education teachers.
Well, we are getting new perspective of the heroic actions of a Lakewood police agent to stop a gunman from December of last year. We do have a heads up because this video shows the life and death decision of Ashley Ferris that she had to make that day. A reminder, though, she is okay. In this security video, you see Agent Ferris confronting the man at Belmar Shopping Center after he had already shot and killed 5 people across Lakewood and Denver. He shot Ferris in the abdomen, and while she was lying on the ground, she was able to shoot back, killing him, and likely saved many more lives in the process. Earlier that night, another Lakewood agent, Brianna Hagan, got involved in a shootout with the suspect. She was not hurt, but the DA has cleared both agents of their actions. Agent Ferris is still recovering and is on desk assignment right now, but she says she is eager to return to patrol. A 13-year-old's tragic death in Longmont may have ties to gang violence. Zay Rosales was shot at by someone in a car while walking through a park. His 15-year-old cousin and another teen survived, and according to court documents, they told police it stems back to a gang fight at the Boulder County Fairgrounds. Members of one gang have been sending threats on Instagram ever since, including from Yahir Solis. The 19-year-old is now accused of killing Rosales. He faces murder and attempted murder charges, and it's due back in court tomorrow.
Jefferson County Public Health has a new tool in its COVID fighting arsenal. It's a vaccine called Novavax. It's a protein-based vaccine similar to some other common vaccines as opposed to the newer mRNA versions from Moderna and Pfizer.
We are very excited to offer Novavax here. We're hopeful that it will provide a path of protection for those who have a little bit of hesitancy towards the mRNA vaccine.
Jeffco will offer the Novavax vaccine at its clinic in Lakewood and other outreach sites. It's a 2-shot series for people 18 and older.
Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett has some tough decisions to make today. He needs to cut the roster by 5 more players and has a lot of evaluation to sift through after a tough loss to the Bills Saturday. Backup players played the whole game, and they have one more preseason game to prove themselves Saturday before the decisions really get tough, because the Broncos have to ultimately cut their roster down from 80 to 53 players by next week. But the Broncos are back at Empower Field this weekend for their final preseason game. It will be against the Vikings at 7 p.m. And then it's the big test for quarterback Russell Wilson, playing his first regular season game as a Bronco against his former team, the Seahawks. The Broncos are in Seattle September 12th for Monday Night Football, a game you can watch over on Denver 7.
Well, it is still August. We're talking football preseason, but it's never too early to talk about ski season in Colorado. Vail Resorts announced it will limit daily lift ticket sales at all of its resorts this season. That's because a lot of people complained last year about too many people on the slopes when the company sold so many season passes and daily lift tickets. So that Vail Resorts also announced opening day plans for several of the resorts. Keystone will be the first of the bunch. Should open sometime in mid-October. Beaver Creek and Crested Butte will follow, Breckenridge and Vail will follow on November 11th, and then Beaver Creek and Crested Butte will open the day before Thanksgiving. All of these opening days, of course, are weather dependent.
Coming up, a Colorado state senator has decided to switch sides. What a change in parties could mean for Colorado's political balance of power.
My apartment is literally flooding. I just woke up and should I call 911? What do I do?
Tragic scene in much of the South. Record-breaking storms led to flooding, and tornadoes have damaged homes. We'll get an update coming up.